of the time when we hear people talking about ISO 19650, most of the time it's because they're being asked to do it by somebody else. And so I think that your story about really driving efficiencies and learning what you can learn from the standard and implement something that's going to build a better workflow inside of the company, not because you've been asked to do it, but actually because it's going to make the process easier and better for you. I think that's a pretty nice thing to hear. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It's going to be a fantastic one. Just technical details or questions or off topic, but Clive, you froze for half a minute for me, and I don't see András at all.
Yeah,
I don't know if that is on your side as well.
If you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I will just switch off and on and off my video camera. 1 second. Okay. I hope it will fix it. Yeah, it did fix it.
Yep, you're back.
Hi everyone.
Yeah. Fantastic. And we hear you loud and clear. And I can see people joining us. So I think that we are ready to rock and roll when you're ready to share. I can see you're off.
I'm already sharing.
Okay. And now I can put you back on stage.
Perfect.
Cool.
Okay. So I will start. So hi everyone.
And I apologize. I'll ask you to do that again. But Akos and I will be here. We'll be in the background and taking any questions. But that we can have questions at the end as well. So if there's anything that you're thinking as you go through, find the chat panel and click on the chat panel, and then you can ask any questions in that that we will ask András at the end. And if you have any questions for Akos and I, maybe we can answer them throughout. And stick around because we've got some resources that we're going to be sharing throughout. But also at the end of this, we're going to share how you can also go through this workflow in a simple way. Hopefully some resources that will help you to do that as well. So we'll say bye for now, but you're in safe hands with András, and we will look forward to chatting with you at the end.
Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Abel András, and I am the head of BIM at BuildX. I studied civil engineering with BIM specialization and started working at BuildX as an architect BIM modeler. Then in a year, I became a BIM coordinator. Then a year later, I became a BIM manager. And for the last year, I've been the head of BIM department at the company. So about our company. Our company, BuildX, was founded in 2008 as Angon. And at the time, we were just a 6 to 8 people general designer company, and we were using ArchiCAD as every other Hungarian company at the time. And we worked on small projects. So the first real big project came in 2015, and we started working on a 60,000 square meter industrial project that was from a client from abroad. And that was the time we met the limitations of the small size and the unstructured workflow we had before. Before we don't have any problems with it. So we had to adapt this to this bigger size to handle bigger projects and to go abroad and see other markets outside of Hungary. And we really needed to stand out in the Hungarian market also, because we were small and we really needed these bigger projects to do anything. New thing and in Hungary, but we saw the potential of implementing BIM into our company to stand out from the crowd, because we couldn't compete with the 150 plus person large companies with just 20 people. So we had to up our productivity. As a smaller company with around 20 or so people at the time, we could implement the new workflows and every new thing into our company much faster than a large company could. So in 2019, BuildX was founded when we purchased Archimon, a small interior designer company, and Angon joined the forces, and we really wanted to be the first ISO 19650 certified company in Hungary. With the implementation of ISO 19650 and the help of Plannerly, of course, we grew into this 50 plus engineer company with 4 departments in house. So we did a really long journey. We had a lot of challenges, of course. The challenges of change was, the first thing was we had to choose between the old ClosedBIM platform or old OpenBIM platform, I'm sorry, and the ClosedBIM platforms. And we choose the ClosedBIM platform to maximize the productivity with other subcontractors we had, because we are a general designer company. We could operate in the same environment as any of our subcontractors, and able to get projects outside of Hungary. To even start this whole process, we needed a guideline on how to do it, how to rework our workflows, how to work in Revit. So we needed something to guide us, and to maximize the potential we could get out of BIM, because there wasn't a lot of good things in Hungary we could look at. So this is how we choose the ISO 19650, and through that we found Plannerly. To meet the requirements needed for the ISO, we needed to restructure everything with it. Our workflows, we had to how we create the documentations, and how we write the contracts. It wasn't an easy journey. One of the main challenges we faced was on the contracts side. The contracts were very vaguely specified. They said something along the lines like complete planning, which could mean one thing on our side and a completely other thing on the client side. And it could create a lot of problem, especially as the concept of BIM wasn't very well understood on the client side. And the same kind of problem came with the subcontractors. So subcontractors needed to learn what do they have to do, and what does that mean if they accept our contract, what to do. We had to educate them, and we had to work them into our workflows. And the solution, of course, came with Plannerly. The solution was using the ISO 19650 base templates, which Plannerly has. We could customize these templates because we had a large variety of project needs. We had a lot of types: scan to BIM, healthcare, sports, and fit outs, and so on and so on. We really needed the flexibility and the speed of the platform. We had to be able to create these documents in like 1 or 2 days with one person alone, who was the BIM manager of the project. Following these guidelines, we had a lot of benefits at the end. The contract side of BIM had to be very well specified, as I said, yet easily understandable and adaptable to all kinds of project needs. So visualization is important, very, very important. As you can see on the right side, you can see that this is how the scope of work looks in Plannerly. This is a very well visualized thing that you can see which elements needed to be done by who, which subcontractor, and who is the owner of these elements. You can specify everything, every kind of parameters needed in each design phase for the whole project. And after some projects, we could create our own project template to fit any kind of project with these. This could be changed in a very short time frame. Every kind of subcontractor can see its scope of work on this, because the well-structured system. And it's a very long list, as you can see. It says 276 pages. So it would be a very long time to do in any kind of Excel or other platform I have seen before. I wouldn't even start doing it in somewhere else because it's just too much work. We don't have that much time. But as you can see, you can easily implement these things into your contract. So we also incorporated facility management informations needed into our template, because we saw the change how our clients see BIM, and they see the benefits and possibilities in BIM, mainly in the facility management part. And because of the length and all these things I already said, I cannot imagine using anything like Excel or Word or any kind of old method to start writing a complete contract for a BIM. So what lessons did we learn? Our vision was to stand out from the crowd and being among the first companies in Hungary with ISO 19650 certification to compete with the larger companies. The truth is that the Hungarian market didn't really care about ISO certification. Most of the market didn't even know about it. So it wasn't the impact we wanted. So
Andras, apologies.
Yeah?
Your video has stopped again, so maybe you could turn it off and then back on again. Apologies.
Okay. Just the video, right? Yeah. Yeah, I'm moving the next. So where was I? So so the Hungarian market didn't really care about ISO certification. So was it really worth it? And I would say absolutely yes, because we transformed the whole workflow. We restructured everything from bottom to top, and we really transitioned our mindset to use these innovative things and to innovate in our field. And we created this very well structured model warehouse for Revit, and because of how we saw the needs specified in the scope of work of Revit. Plannerly. So this is the absolute core of everything, that we can see what is needed in a BIM contract, and we just work from that. And we the parameters in our models and everything else was worked into Revit, because what we see, what was needed for the ISO 19650 project templates. So that's how we transitioned and transformed our team and our subcontractors into one well-oiled team using BIM. And this is how we stood out in the Hungarian market. These well-structured workflows and well-defined needs allowed us to quickly grow into this now 50+ person company. And there's new people who could join into our company and learn how we work, because it was very well written, very well thought out, and very well specified. And this allowed us to have bigger and bigger team, and we could handle much larger projects and much more complex projects. And this allowed us to get ahead of our competitors. 1 second. So where are we heading? We want to help our clients, the well-structured and easily understood EIR and AIR template, which is very easily possible in Plannerly. So they could understand the choices and their needs communicate better. Their needs can be communicated better to us. So we want to create this base template for any future clients we could have. We already done projects from concept to FM, facility management, and we see more and more clients interested in facility management. So we really want to focus on that thing. And with facility management and the new environmental friendliness, new environmental friendliness, we also see that we should incorporate ESG into our design workflows. It's a very big need, and we see that in any country abroad, they already do this, and it will be 1 or 2 years in Hungary, then we can just plan ahead. So, of course, the great change in our time, the other great change is AI. We already are using AI in some parts of our work. We see the potential, and it really could increase your productivity. Even as a creative designer, it can create you different concept ideas and so on, but we are using it to find and fill in parameters which we specify in our scope of work. And at the end of our design flow, we can also check our plans for design flows with it. So we're really looking to expand its usage, but as we can see, it has now we think it has unlimited potential, and it could very easily transform the industry just as easily as BIM did. Yeah. So thank you very much. I hope you found our story interesting, and if you are thinking on implementing ISO 19650 and was it worth it? Yes, it was worth it. And I hope you found our story inspiring in that. Thank you for your attention.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I think now we get to some of the more detailed and probing things. It's nice to hear the presentation.
Yes.
But I think that you may, when somebody's asked to present, like, how did you go about this? I think it's easy for us to say, you know, we went through this process and we did this and this is how it came out, and it is all much better. Everything's better now. You mentioned about the challenges, and I think that maybe, you know, a lot of teams are in the same position as you were a few years ago. What were some of the biggest frustrations maybe that you had before this, and how does that feel now afterwards? Like, what were the frustrations that you overcome?
First frustration, I would say that you have to specify what will be in your contract. What is lot 350? You don't really know, because it's a very, very long list. That's the first thing. Then you have to model it. So you will have to, as a Revit user, you will have to use your own warehouse and create your own warehouse based on what you need. This is a long journey. You have to work a lot on this. We needed like more than a year, two years to have a warehouse big enough to cover every need we need in this thing. And after that, there came the subcontracts. The subcontractors. The subcontractors really was a big deal, because I think in Hungary, electrical subcontractors and designer subcontractors and mechanical subcontractors use Revit only, and the others use mainly 2D, and like static structural engineers use Tekla. So it's still an OpenBIM environment. So we chose ClosedBIM, and we are still working in a very big OpenBIM market. That's the biggest frustration in everything.
So that's an interesting balancing act, and I think that if you ask anybody that question openly, and most people would say, "Oh, obviously OpenBIM, it must be OpenBIM." I think that the story that you've shared is more about trying to say what works for you and what makes the business more efficient, what makes your delivery better for your clients. And it's interesting to hear, that's the better way for you guys to work. So I suppose that sort of ties in. There's a lot of myths, and we're not saying that people shouldn't be using OpenBIM. Absolutely, 100%. We support OpenBIM. We love the workflows that you can seamlessly create and hand off information between them. But what are some of the biggest myths or maybe misunderstandings that you've seen before you dived into ISO 19650?
Yeah, maybe the biggest myth I would say was that if we just switch and see a template, it's already done. So you don't have to work a lot because it's done for you. No, it's not really done. You have to change everything to your market needs. I think my camera froze. 1 second, and I turn off and on. Okay, so yeah, nothing is handed to you. You have to work on everything. Maybe when you work in Archicad, because we are a general designer company, it's easier to think in an architectural term. So when you work in Archicad is a very well done program that hands you everything you need. But there's always something you cannot do, and you need to work something out to complete that thing. And this is the main difference I see between Open and ClosedBIM, that in ClosedBIM you can do everything, it's just not handed to you. So the same mindset comes with this ISO implementation, that everything is there, you can do everything, and it has a very well written guideline, but it's not just there and done. You cannot just copy paste from Plannerly's upper part and say it's ISO 19650, that's what I want, and I will just send it to the client. You have to work a lot, and you have to speak with your client, and you have to adjust to any kind of project needs. So as I said, we had Scan2BIM project, we had healthcare projects, we had sports project. It's not the same. And the fit-out project, it's still, these are completely different types, and we are just in general design.
Yeah, so the myth of being that it's as easy as, so this is the part where from a marketing side, our team would say, sure, just buy a subscription to Plannerly and your all problems are solved. But that's not the case. It's you can take templates, you can take workflows, but the real effort comes in the implementation, and that's how do you transform those things into being the day-to-day and the expectation of internally and externally, and improve the communication between you and your client, whoever that might be, and also do it on a variety of different projects. That's the impressive part. So through that process, was there a light bulb moment? Did it happen naturally and gradually, or was there a moment where you suddenly thought, man, things are starting to flow and everything got better? Like, how did that?
I wouldn't say it was just one moment when we just, oh yeah, this is how it works. We had to work a lot, and mostly trial and error. So we could say after like 2 or 3 projects, when we started to do these big projects and they become more natural to us, this is how we saw that, yeah, we know what we are doing, and not just trying to figure out what to do. So I wouldn't say there was a light bulb moment.
Okay, so just more gradually over, you said 2 or 3 projects, yeah. And then a question from the chat here as well. How do you manage the cost of implementation of BIM on your project vis-a-vis your client's budget? So when you kind of do something, is it related to the client's budget? And then what return on investment from using BIM have you seen?
I would say, like everyone else would say, you have to pay more on the design phase. That's the thing in BIM. That's why some clients don't really want to use it. But in construction phase and now in FM, family facility management phase, you don't have to pay that much. It's a really much bigger budget for structural building construction. I'm sorry, and even bigger for a 30-year-old building with facility management. You can. It's much cheaper when you can take 10% off on the construction cost. This is maybe the number I would say, and also 10% on the facility management side. And I think you can find anywhere a big graph where you can see that design phase is like 5% or 1%. I've seen a lot of things of the complete budget. Construction is like 30%, and the rest is facility management and the life cycle of the building. So you can just math it out.
So that I mean, there's some decent sort of rule of thumb numbers. If you were to save 10% on each piece of that puzzle, obviously the bigger piece has a larger outcome. So if you sort of chunk that back and sort of looked at ISO 19650 workflows, how much time do you estimate now per project compared to what you were doing prior to implementing these workflows? Are there time savings for you as a company? Are there more efficiencies there?
I would say yes. It's not easy to compare because we are working on much larger projects because we can handle these bigger projects. I would say we are working still the same time, just we are completing a much larger project. So it's not easy, and I cannot really compare it with numbers, but I can compare it with 2,000 square meters between and 60,000 square meters. So that's the real benefit. We can see much easier where we can optimize our workflows, I would say. This comes mainly from ClosedBIM, that we are working in it and still see things that we can improve on. So yeah, I cannot say a number that this was like one week and this now it only takes a day. But on the contract side, it absolutely does. So I have to work on a completely different contract for BIM contract, and then only needs like 1 day, and it will be done. And I can just go through it, and it's done. And I have a 300+ page BIM document, a BIM contract document.
Mm-hmm. And what was that prior to? Like, what were you doing? What was the workflow? What did that look like before?
Prior to it, there wasn't really a BIM contract. We just, as I said, complete design or complete planning, and it said something, and the client thought it said this, and we thought the other thing. So this only made a lot of things much more difficult. So the other thing, when the BIM started, we had these Excel documents which go through all the companies in Hungary. We saw the same document with the same. I saw my own writing in another document. So this was the standard at the start of the thing, at the start of BIM. So yeah, we really did a big turnaround in that.
So it sounds like the comparison is more that when you're using that document that you kept on seeing and you saw your writing in and copy and paste from previous projects, that you mentioned, even though it was the standard, maybe you inferred, maybe you said there that not everyone really understood what it meant.
Yeah. I would say still not everyone understands that, but still you can see that there's a picture. A picture always, it's easy to visualize things. You can see the scope of works. You can see that it's in lot 300. This looks like this. It's easy, very well understood. There's a little tag at the top that says it's the responsibility of like the architect, and that's all. So you can see in the model that it's it doesn't look like that, and I didn't do my work. Or the other side, it looks exactly like that, and I did that, so I did my work. That's the main thing. You have to specify everything.
And so, oh, your camera's gone again.
I'm sorry. I'm back.
You're back. And so when you look at that as a workflow, what are the parts that you identified that you could improve? Like, how did you go about actually improving
right now or before?
Before, yeah. Like, what were the things, the parts that you attacked, and the parts that maybe you didn't realize that were things that could be improved? How did you go about that? What did you identify?
We had to identify a lot of things. That was the first problem. So we had to identify what is the problem. We did something, and we had, when you first do something, it's not that easy to understand where it went wrong or where it was exactly as you planned. So we needed a bigger sample size to understand these things. And I would say you have to work on your one second. So yeah, the problem was with where we could optimize our workflow is that it still needed a lot of time to create every single document, not in the contract side, but in the planning side. We really needed that. We had to think. We didn't really was able to think ahead. So that was the first thing. We really needed something done to see how we should attack this problem in the future. That was the first thing. The first trial and error kind of problem was that we really didn't know how to create these documents exactly as it needed. It had a guideline. We did that. We used the naming standards, but after we did the naming standards and started using it, we saw that the client didn't really understand why it was in English and wasn't in Hungarian, and so on and so on, and why is there so many little parameters in a plan's document name, and these kinds of problems are still present. But we did a lot of things to like smooth out these problems. So we had a really well-written guideline, and we had a really a long experienced client who really saw like 30 plus buildings in his 30 plus years of experience, and it wasn't like that. And they say, why should I do this? Why is it easier? When they couldn't really use our CDs and didn't really understand why it just doesn't just came in a SharePoint. So maybe still that's the biggest problem right now, that we have to see what is a need on the client side and what is the benefit of ISO 19650. So not just a straight guideline, we have to smooth it out. Yeah.
That's the interesting part of this story, is that it wasn't a client saying, I don't know what ISO 19650 is, but I've heard that it's good and I need you to do this. It was you saying, this is a better way to run my workflow, my process. So I suppose there's a question from the audience as well about, did your company leadership buy in and fully support the implementation of ISO 19650? And what was there a culture mindset that needs to happen with the people side, especially outside team members?
Mm-hmm. So the decision came from the head of BIM at the time, and it was fully supported by the company owner. So yeah, it was very well. It was his vision. The company owner wanted to stand out in the crowd, and we had a very good head of BIM at the time who knew how to do it and had ideas how to do it. So yeah, on that side, it was very easy. It was just do it. It will be good. On the other side, the I don't know how to say, the employees had to change a lot. They were all of them were ArchiCAD users, and they were doing the things as before always. So they had to be taught how to work in Revit and why should we use CD and everything, how we name our documentations. So that was the harder part, and even harder part is the subcontractor part. They want to change just as you do. So if they see that we stand out in the crowd and get a big project, they see that, oh, it's working, and they are teaching us, like, because they have to teach us. We are the general designer. Then they want to join you. They see the benefit. Just you have to show it how it works.
So overall, if I was to like package the story, it was we wanted to stand out. We thought this would help, and it's not only grown the company as a team, but it's also you're now doing bigger projects, and your supply chain to deliver those projects is actually bought in, and they see that as a benefit because they're able to come with you on those projects and deliver with you.
Yes.
That's really cool. Yeah, I see we've got a couple more questions in the chat, and I think this is related as well. So when your clients contract with you, are they bringing their organizational information requirements to the table? And if not, are you using Planoly to assist you in developing them? Does Planoly contain a database of information requirements for the OIR, EIR, AIR, EIR? Yep.
Yes. So it's not really usual that the client come with its own AIR, EIR, and so on and so on. Usually we have them. So we want to do also this part of the job to just educate the clients. But some clients in Hungary, we have not a lot, but some clients come with very well specified EIR, OIR, and so on and so on. But these big clients who has their own, they don't really use the same classification system. So we have to adapt to all those. But in usual, we use our own EIR to help them, and that's on the other side of the contract. They don't really send us an EIR. We just send a BEP to like make it solid that we are doing this. And they are just saying, okay, they don't have a requirement. We have an execution plan. So yeah, this is, I think, how it looks usually. But as we see a trend in increasing EIRs coming from the client side.
Yep.
And yeah, Planoly has that. We are doing it in Planoly, of course.
Cool. And do you use the application live with your client ever to sit down and actually walk them through? Yeah. How does that go? Like what sort of reaction do you get when you show them, for example, the scope? Is there a learning curve for them, or is it?
Yeah, I would say we don't really show the clients the live Planoly. The live Planoly. We are just the interface is. I would say it would be very nice. We would like to work with someone who could use Planoly with us and use the possibility to work together. But as of now, we didn't have anyone join in on our Planoly from a client side. We had on the subcontractor side. So, yeah. So,
and then that interaction with subcontractors when they're involved and they're understand, how does that go? When do you, I suppose that's the workflow of, oh, your video's gone again.
Yeah, it froze again.
When you bring in the subcontractors, at what stage do you bring them in? How much of the definition of scope have you done already? How much do they get involved with? How do you go through agreeing to it? What does that process look like?
I usually do everything in before. So we have a template, a well-designed template, and we just really want them to like see how it looks like. And if they want to add something, they have the time to add it. And it usually comes like before the permission plans. This is the usual time when the subcontractors come in. But I do the complete PEP and everything BIM contract side needs in the concept phase. So it goes with the contract, acceptation of the contract.
Gotcha. Cool. And to close, I think we could keep on talking, because this is a really interesting topic for a lot of people. Not many get the chance to kind of ask questions of somebody that's already gone through this process, because it's quite new for a lot of teams, a lot of countries. Still, even though we've seen it for a number of years now, and a lot of companies are certified as well. But if you looked back, what would you give yourself maybe as some advice before you started this journey? What would you share with yourself before?
Yeah, I would say at the start that it will be worth it. It will be worth it. Sorry. So yeah, you have to go through it. It's not just easy, and as I said, it's not given. You have to do everything and work with the client. So talk with them, ask them if they understand. If something they don't understand, they work it in. If it's like doesn't fit your market. So it's not that easy. You have to adapt to your market. That's the biggest thing I would say.
And then if you had to sum it up in like one sentence, like what the impact would be. So you said it's worth it, but what would the impact? What would be the benefit to actually help your past self say it's worth it? But what is the value? What's the benefit?
Yeah, it gives structure. It will restructure everything, and everyone will know what they have to do. That's the main thing.
Cool. Very cool. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I think that we have a couple of links that we wanted to share with the teams. Ákos, are they links that you can throw into the chat?
Absolutely. I think, many of them actually very much related to the topic, because I really like the story that you are not only growing yourselves, but your network, you are educating your customers as well as your suppliers. So that's very interesting to hear that you lead by example, and the others are following you. I was about to ask anyway that how does it work? Are you really putting an effort into training your suppliers, or do they see the example and follow themselves, or how does that work?
Yeah, we do the effort, I would say. The most effort we put into teaching CDE usage. This is the main system. We have everyone needs to use it, the client, the subcontractors, and it will help us the most if they can upload everything to the right folder and with the right naming standard. So yeah, CD teaching is the main thing, but I would say, we look for suppliers who already have Revit. So we don't really have to teach them how to use it. But there are some cases where I had to teach some kind of subcontractor because they wanted to start it. And from 2D, they wanted to upgrade to 3D. That's more than 3D. We are using BIM. But yeah, that's how they saw it. And I gave them some small 2 to 3 hour starting lessons, and I helped the journey afterwards. So not common, because we are looking, and we have nowadays actually we have in our in-house disciplines like electrical and mechanical discipline, and they are the two biggest discipline to work with outside of structural engineering. But structural engineers need their own programs to work, so we cannot really introduce them into the ClosedBIM system, but they still need to follow the ISO guidelines. And I gave out with every project a complete tutorial guideline documentation on how to use the naming standards, and usually an Excel that creates and it's an MIDP or TIDP. So this is the one I'm sending out, and they use it and they send in, or just if it's better, they can already upload to Dalux. I'm sorry, to a CD.
Yeah, I mean, the reason bringing it up partially is because I think we share the the experience of how important it is to educate the peers, and Clive just brought it up on the screen as well, that with this belief we are also supporting the education of BIM managers. And I think there is one which might not be relevant for you, because I hear that you have a huge support in the top management for implementation, and I think your adoption to technology probably speed up a bit. But we have, for example, the digital troublemaker, which can be helpful for some in similar position to you and wants to move things forward. What kind of training plans and business cases they can put together to get the support from the upper management. But yeah, this is a link I shared also in the chat panel to take a look if interesting. I especially, since I have the opportunity to add a couple of thoughts, I especially like your story from a perspective that you grew out from a general planner role, and that's typically not the first role to adopt complex processes, because, as you mentioned, it also adds necessarily costs to the story. But I do like that you saw the benefit of how you can improve your workflows and the deliverables in general, and how much in the end the entire project can save. And not only you put yourself on this curve, but also bringing others with you. And when a project doesn't start with the right foot, you are the ones who are bringing it to the right process and helping your customers. So I think this is beautiful. This is something that we can really learn from.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just while we have this on the stage, the one that I would point you to, digital troublemaker, but I would also go just to this one here, the certification ready. So if you're interested in finding out what you need to do to complete and close those gaps, this is an important one. It takes you through that whole workflow and gives you a checklist as well of the things that you might need to do to be able to achieve ISO 19650 certification. So inside of here, there's a gap analysis and a checklist of things that you need to do to actually get there and get ready yourselves. So that might be something worth checking out if you haven't seen that one already. So we really appreciate you sharing your story. I can see that there's been a lot of appreciation online as well. We really think that we need leaders like yourselves to be able to show others that it's worth it. I think that's the point, that it's a challenge. It's a lot of effort up front. You've got to bring a supply chain with you, but overall, it sounds like winning more business and bringing your supply chain with you actually generates a lot of good things. So we really, thank you for sharing your story, and we will, point people towards you as being an example of how to pull it off. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys. Bye for now.
Bye.